There's a moment, just a few seconds, when a woman walks into a room and without saying a word, every head turns. She's not the youngest, not the loudest, not even the most dressed up, but there's something about her. Something in the way she moves, the way she wears her clothes like they're made just for her. Men notice. Not because she's trying to impress, but because she's not. Today, we're breaking down the 8 sexiest things older women wear that men find irresistible, and why it has nothing to do with age and everything to do with presence. There's something uniquely magnetic about a well-tailored blazer on a woman who knows her worth. It's not about the fabric or the cut alone, it's about what it represents. When a woman slips into a blazer that fits her perfectly, something changes. Her posture straightens, her shoulders pull back, and her movements take on a quiet authority. It's not loud or attention-seeking. It's composed, grounded, and completely self-assured. To the men who are paying attention, it signals presence. She doesn't have to say a word. That structure around her body becomes a symbol of how she structures her life. Intentional, strong, composed. Men notice things they can't always explain. They might not point to the lapel or the cinched waist and say, "That's what I like." What they feel is something more instinctive. A blazer carries with it a masculine energy, but when worn by a woman with grace and confidence, it creates an incredibly sexy contrast. It says, "I know how to handle myself in any room I walk into." That's an energy men are drawn to, especially those who are secure in themselves and looking for a partner who isn't afraid to take up space. What sets a blazer apart from more traditionally sexy outfits is that it doesn't reveal, it suggests. It gives shape without exposure, and in that restraint there's a different kind of allure. It leaves room for curiosity. A man sees a woman in a perfectly tailored blazer, and he wonders what her story is. What kind of day did she have? What's behind that calm expression? What's underneath that sharp exterior? Not just in terms of clothing, but in terms of her world, her mind, her intentions. It's also a garment that shows she's not trying too hard. A blazer doesn't scream, "Look at me." It's quiet, it's polished, it's confident, and confidence is the key. When a woman wears something that feels powerful to her, it shows. Her energy shifts. She walks into a room differently. She engages in conversation differently. Her eye contact is more direct, her presence more grounded. That, to a man who's paying attention, is far more captivating than the most revealing dress in the room. There's also versatility in the blazer. Worn with jeans and heels, it's casual power. With a pencil skirt or tailored trousers, it's boardroom authority. Thrown over a dress, it adds balance, soft with structure, flow with firmness. That kind of adaptability is attractive. It shows she knows how to dress for the moment, how to be both elegant and intentional. It suggests maturity, not just in age, but in energy. A woman who knows herself, who isn't trying to be anyone else, will always stand out. For men, it's not about the item of clothing itself, it's the message behind it. A well-tailored blazer tells him she's confident in her body but not defined by it. She dresses for herself. She's not looking for validation, she already has it. That's the difference. That's what makes it sexy. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's unforgettable. Because a blazer isn't just about style, it's about strength. And when a woman wears that kind of strength without needing to prove anything to anyone, that's when men look twice and keep looking. There's something almost hypnotic about the way a silk blouse moves. It doesn't just sit on the body, it flows with it, responds to it, glides across the skin like a second layer of confidence. When an older woman wears a silk blouse, she's not just putting on a piece of clothing. She's making a quiet statement, one that says, "I'm comfortable in who I am, and I don't need to shout to be seen." Men notice this kind of softness, not the kind that signals weakness, but the kind that suggests depth, ease, and elegance. What draws men in is often not what's revealed, but what's felt. A silk blouse reveals very little in the traditional sense, but it suggests everything. The way it moves, the way it subtly hugs the contours of the body without clinging too tightly, the way it reflects the light. It creates a visual softness that invites closer attention. And that invitation isn't forced. A man might not be able to name the fabric, but he notices how it catches his eye, how it holds his gaze just a moment longer. There's also a textural story happening. Silk has a way of suggesting intimacy. It's the kind of fabric that belongs in close moments, the kind of thing you associate with skin, touch, closeness. So when a woman wears it out into the world, it creates a contrast. Here is something inherently private, delicate, sensual, being worn with public poise. That quiet tension between intimacy and composure is powerful. It makes the viewer wonder, what kind of woman wears something so soft with such authority? Men also respond to the emotional energy that silk carries. There's a grace to it that mirrors emotional maturity. It's not stiff or structured. It's fluid, adaptable, gentle. And those are qualities many men associate with emotional intelligence and approachability. When a woman wears a silk blouse, it suggests she's not trying to overpower the room. She's moving through it with presence, not pressure. And for men who are paying attention, that kind of energy is deeply attractive. What's even more compelling is the simplicity of it. A well-chosen silk blouse, whether in a neutral tone, a soft blush, or a deep jewel tone, doesn't compete for attention. It doesn't need to. It frames the woman, highlights her without stealing the spotlight. And when paired with minimal accessories, or even something as subtle as a tucked-in necklace or a sleeve casually rolled up, it becomes a masterclass in restraint. And that's what a lot of men find irresistible. Not the noise of trying to look sexy, but the silence of already being magnetic. It's not just about the look, it's also about the feel. And while a man may not physically touch the blouse, the way it moves and behaves on the body gives him clues. He notices the elegance in how it drapes over the collarbone, how it hints at softness without being overly revealing, how it seems to blend with the rhythm of her voice, her smile, her gestures. It becomes part of her expression, not just her outfit. When a woman wears silk, especially in a setting where she could have gone with something more rigid or traditional, she's showing a level of self-awareness. She's choosing to express softness and sensuality on her own terms. And that decision doesn't just speak, it resonates. Because silk doesn't shout, it whispers. And sometimes a whisper is all it takes to hold someone's full attention. There's something undeniably captivating about a pair of jeans that fit just right. Not trendy, not exaggerated, just a perfect, flattering fit that complements a woman's natural shape without trying too hard. When an older woman wears jeans that hug her hips, skim her legs, and move with her body, it tells a silent but powerful story. It says she's comfortable in her own skin, that she values how she feels in her clothes more than how someone else thinks she should look. And that kind of confidence? Men notice it instantly. A great pair of jeans doesn't shout for attention. Instead, it earns it. It draws the eye in the way a great painting does. You don't always know why you're looking, but you can't seem to stop. It's the way the denim frames the silhouette, the way it emphasizes the curve of the waist or the strength in her stride. It's not about being flashy or provocative. It's about the quiet power of a good fit. Men pick up on that energy, not in a surface level way, but in a way that stirs something more instinctual. A well-fitted pair of jeans says, I know who I am and I like who I am. Men are also drawn to authenticity, and nothing says effortless like jeans that clearly weren't picked out to impress someone else. Jeans are everyday wear, which makes them even more revealing in a certain way. Not in the physical sense, but in the emotional one. A woman who chooses jeans that suit her body and her life is showing that she's grounded. She's real. She knows what looks good on her because she knows herself. She's not trying to recreate a version of her younger self. She's not apologizing for her age or her shape. She's celebrating it. And then there's the movement. Jeans that fit well move with the body in a way that feels natural and unforced. When a woman walks confidently in her jeans, every step speaks volumes. Her stride becomes a rhythm that men are naturally drawn to, not because of what's being shown, but because of the presence she carries. She's walking like someone who knows her value. The jeans just highlight what's already there. There's also something deeply attractive about contrast. Picture a woman wearing dark-fitted jeans with a crisp white blouse, or a relaxed sweater. That balance of structure and softness creates a dynamic visual that pulls you in. It's timeless, uncomplicated, and striking. She's not dressing for attention, she's dressing for herself. And yet, in doing that, she gets the exact kind of attention that's meaningful. Not the kind that's based on shock or exposure, but the kind that's rooted in admiration. Even more, jeans that fit well suggest a woman who takes care of herself, not for the world, but for her own joy and comfort. They imply that she's still evolving, still investing in herself, still exploring style as a form of self-expression. And that curiosity, that openness, is incredibly attractive to men who are looking for more than just a pretty face. It's easy to underestimate something as everyday as a pair of jeans, but when worn with intention, they become more than fabric. They become a frame for identity. Men see that. They might not say it in so many words, but they feel the difference between jeans that fit and jeans that impress. The ones that fit tell the truth. They speak to self-respect, sensuality, and a woman's relationship with her own body. And when a man sees that kind of relationship in motion, it resonates deeply. Because what's more attractive than a woman who looks like she belongs exactly where she is? In her body, in her clothes, in her life. Red is not just a color, it's a signal. It catches the eye, wakes up the senses, and triggers something almost primal in the mind. But what makes it truly powerful is how selectively it's used. When an older woman chooses to wear red, not head to toe, but in subtle, deliberate ways, men notice. And more than that, they remember. A swipe of red lipstick, a pair of red heels, a silk scarf in that unmistakable hue, it all sends a message. Not a loud, desperate message, but a confident one. I know exactly what I'm doing. There's something about red that stirs emotion. It's bold, unapologetic, and full of presence. It doesn't ask for permission to be seen. It simply is. And that's the point. A woman who wears red in just the right places is making a choice, not an accident. She's choosing to stand out, but not in a way that says, "Look at me." Instead, it says, "I'm not afraid of being looked at." That difference is subtle, but it changes everything. And to a man, that kind of self-assurance is magnetic. It hints at strength, passion, and a deep sense of comfort in her own skin. Men often don't consciously recognize why red draws them in, but it does. Evolutionarily, psychologically, culturally, red has always symbolized heat, energy, and attraction. But the real sexiness comes from how it's used. When a woman wears a red lip with a simple black dress or walks into a room in dark jeans and a red heel, she creates contrast. The red doesn't overwhelm, it highlights. It becomes the accent that pulls the eye, the detail that sticks in the memory. She's not trying to compete with others, she's creating her own moment. Red also carries with it a sense of control. It's not a passive color. You don't wear red and blend in. So when a woman chooses to wear it, especially later in life, she's showing that she's not shrinking. She's not apologizing for her presence. She's leaning into it. And that kind of quiet boldness, especially in a world that often tells women to soften or step back as they age, is incredibly attractive. It tells men she's still full of fire, full of life, and she's not done making an impression. It's also important to understand the emotional intelligence behind this choice, because red, when used well, is never about shouting, it's about balance. The woman who wears a red blouse with soft, neutral trousers or adds a red clutch to an otherwise classic outfit knows how to make a statement without turning it into a spectacle. That understanding of balance, of mood, of occasion, that's what makes her stand out. It shows she's in tune with her own impact. And that awareness, that's what captivates. What makes red so compelling is also how it plays with perception. It adds warmth to the skin, draws attention to movement, and frames features in a way that almost makes them glow. When a man sees a woman wearing red, even just a hint of it, his attention locks in, not because she's being flashy, but because she's being intentional. She's chosen this accent knowing what it does, knowing how it makes her feel, and how that feeling radiates outward. Ultimately, it's not the color itself that men find sexy, it's the woman who knows how to wear it without letting it wear her. It's the decision to show up fully, to be present, to leave a trace of energy behind long after she's walked out of the room. That's what red does. It lingers. It's not loud, it's lasting. And when a woman chooses to embrace that energy in just the right way, it creates an impression that stays with a man, not just in his eyes, but in his memory. There's a quiet power in a woman who knows how to use accessories well, not in an overdone, flashy way, but in a way that feels deliberate, collected, and effortlessly elegant. When an older woman puts on a single, carefully chosen accessory, a pair of gold hoops, a leather watch, a long necklace that catches the light when she moves, it doesn't just complete her outfit. It reveals something about her. It tells a man that she's thoughtful, that she pays attention to the details, that she understands how something small can carry big energy. Accessories aren't just adornments, they're extensions of personality. A woman who wears a bold cuff or a signature pair of earrings is saying, "This is me." She's not hiding behind layers or loud fashion choices. She's expressing something subtle, something refined. That kind of self-expression is incredibly attractive to men because it suggests she knows who she is, and she's not afraid to show it in ways that don't demand attention, but naturally draw it. There's also something sensual about accessories, especially when they're worn with intention. A delicate chain that sits just right on her collarbone, a pair of sunglasses that frame her face perfectly, a scarf that adds a soft texture to her look. These are choices that show a connection between her inner world and how she presents herself. They reveal taste, they reveal confidence, and to a man they create intrigue. He starts to notice the way she moves, how her bracelet slides slightly down her wrist when she gestures, how her ring catches the sunlight when she lifts her glass. Those moments are subtle, but they stay with him. What makes accessory especially powerful on older women is the sense of history they can carry. That ring may have a story, that watch may have been a gift, or a piece she bought for herself to mark a personal milestone. When a woman wears something meaningful, it adds layers to her presence. Men feel that depth. They sense that there's more than meets the eye. A woman who selects her accessories carefully is often someone who values quality over quantity, someone who moves through life with purpose. And that kind of intentionality is deeply attractive. It also shows that she's still engaged with style in a mature, grounded way. She's not chasing trends, she's not trying to impress anyone. She's using style as a quiet form of communication. That long pendant she wears with a simple blouse isn't just an accessory, it's a message. It says, "I care about the way I show up, and I do it for me." That kind of energy is magnetic because it's rooted in self-respect. Even something as small as a classic handbag, a subtle spritz of signature perfume, or the way her nails are manicured to match her earrings, all of that speaks to a woman who pays attention. And attention is one of the most underrated forms of sex appeal. When a man sees that a woman pays attention to herself, to the moment, to the energy she's bringing into the space, it creates a sense of fascination. He feels that she's not just passing through life, she's curating it. There's no need for a statement necklace the size of a dinner plate, or earrings that sparkle from across the room. In fact, what men often find most attractive is when accessories are understated but meaningful. They become part of her aura, not her costume. They whisper rather than scream, and those whispers are what pull a man in, making him want to look a little longer, stand a little closer, and wonder what else she's chosen so deliberately. Because when a woman wears accessories well, it's never just about the item. It's about the story, the confidence, and the quiet power behind every small choice she makes. There's an undeniable charm in a woman who wears confidence like it's part of her outfit. It's not about what she's wearing, it's how she wears it. She can be dressed in the simplest clothing, a white tee, tailored pants, maybe a pair of understated flats. But the moment she walks into a room, people notice. Not because of the fabric or the fashion, but because of the energy. She carries herself with a sense of comfort in her own skin that can't be faked. That kind of presence is rare, and to men it's irresistible. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. Real confidence speaks in eye contact, in the way she holds her head high, in the ease with which she laughs, even in silence. A confident woman doesn't shrink herself to make others comfortable. She doesn't second-guess her decisions based on what others might think. She knows her value, and she brings that energy into every room, every conversation, every glance. That's the kind of thing that men are wired to pick up on, even if they can't explain it. It's not about being perfect or polished to an unrealistic degree. In fact, part of what makes confidence so attractive is the acceptance of imperfections. The woman who wears her age with pride, who doesn't hide her laugh lines or feel the need to explain her choices, that's the woman who draws men in, because she's not playing games, she's not performing, she's just being. And in a world full of filters and facades, that kind of realness is rare. It is the woman who walks with purpose, who speaks with clarity, who doesn't need approval to feel whole. That's the one who stands out without trying to. Men notice when a woman is grounded, when she's not constantly checking her reflection or adjusting her appearance, but instead is fully present. She listens, she makes space in a conversation without losing herself in it. She knows how to command attention with her energy rather than her voice. And that's the kind of woman that doesn't just attract a man's eye, she holds his mind. There's a strength in that stillness, a magnetism in the lack of neediness. She's not looking to be chosen, she's already chosen herself. There's also a physicality to confidence that doesn't require any special clothing. It's in the way she moves, unrushed, intentional, unbothered. Whether she's walking across a room or leaning into a conversation, there's a rhythm to her body that's led from within, not dictated by anyone else's gaze. She might wear a form-fitting dress, she is. The outfit simply becomes an extension of her energy. And that's what makes confidence the sexiest thing of all. It's not something you can buy, not something you can fake with the right brand or the right shoes. It's cultivated. It's the result of years of knowing, learning, living. A confident woman has history behind her. She's been through enough to stop apologizing. She's learned to prioritize peace over performance. And men who are truly worth a woman's time, they see that. They see the freedom in her, the ease, the joy that comes from not needing to chase validation. Confidence doesn't need to take up space. It creates space. It welcomes. It challenges. It inspires. And when a man encounters that kind of presence in a woman, it sticks with him. Not because she was trying to impress, but because she didn't have to. She didn't dress to be seen. She showed up already whole. And that wholeness, that quiet certainty, is what turns heads and keeps the memory lingering long after the moment has passed. When it comes to what men find undeniably sexy in older women, it's never just about the clothes. It's about what those choices reflect. From the effortless movement of a silk blouse to the perfectly fitted pair of jeans, from the subtle pop of red to the quiet elegance of well-chosen accessories, each element speaks to something deeper. Confidence, self-respect, emotional maturity, and personal style that isn't seeking approval, it's expressing truth. The most captivating thing a woman can wear isn't something stitched or styled. It's the energy of someone who knows herself, embraces her life experience, and wears her story with pride. That's the real allure. That's what lingers in the mind long after she's walked away.